Conference, please welcome the chair for this session, Andy Kerr, and the Platform Party.
Conference, welcome to the Labour Party Conference 2018. Conference, before we start, let's say a huge thanks to the Grimethorpe Colliery Band who entertained us earlier this morning. This is an exciting time for the Labour Party. We're the biggest political party in Europe, and we have more members than all the other parties in Britain put together. And once again this year, we have a record number of delegates to this conference. Conference, it's great to be back in the city of Liverpool. The third time we've held our conference here. Liverpool is a city, a Labour city, where we are proud to have a Labour mayor, a Labour council, and 5 Labour MPs. Across Merseyside, since we last met here, we have a Labour Metro Mayor, my good friend Steve Rotherham. There remains, though, one Conservative seat in the region, in Southport, where we have to overcome a majority of 2,914 to elect the first ever Labour MP in that town. To welcome us to Liverpool, I would now like to introduce the woman who will achieve that for us, our parliamentary candidate for Southport, Liz Savage. Liz.
Comrades, I'm delighted, honoured and proud to welcome you to our annual conference here in Liverpool. I have to say, I was somewhat shocked to be asked, and many of you are probably thinking, who is she and why is she opening conference? I'm Liz Savage, Labour's parliamentary candidate for Southport. Labour's #1 target seat in Merseyside. In fact, Labour's only target seat in Merseyside. As the rest of the area is already proudly Labour. In 2015, we more than doubled our vote in Southport, and in 2017, almost doubled it again, placing Labour second there for the first time since 1966, when a youthful John Prescott stood. Next time, I intend to turf the Tories out from the last remaining seat in Merseyside. Even as a proud Evertonian, I have to admit that politically at least, Merseyside looks better in red. For me, this is about doing what is right for our communities and our neighbours. People across the country are suffering due to brutal cuts brought in by the Tories and supported by the Lib Dems. For me, their austerity was never really an economic policy. It was more an ideological weapon. So when homelessness rockets, something has gone drastically wrong. And when the UN criticises the UK because of its attacks on the disabled, something has gone drastically wrong. But when our local authorities are on the verge of collapse, wages are still lower than a decade ago, and when our NHS is being eroded by underfunding, undermined by privatisation, and the very land it stands on is being sold from underneath it, something has gone drastically wrong. Our towns, villages and cities are suffering, and they are suffering because the Tories put profits before people. They put cuts before communities, their ideology before the circumstances of individuals. In Southport, we have seen the local Conservative MP warmly welcome universal credit to the town, despite all the warnings about this failed Tory system, leaving local residents to suffer the consequences. A system whose implementation is a universal discredit to our country and also a universal truth about Tory heartlessness. But worst of all is the number of deaths that have been attributed to their austerity programme. An estimated 120,000 people, according to the UCL report. Figures such as these are always difficult to be exact, but we don't need an exact figure because one death is too many. We all recognise the scale of the attack on our communities. We have all met people suffering as a result. We will hear many motions and have many debates over the next few days, but never forget, this is why we are here, to fight these devastating policies, these appalling figures, and this callous Conservative government. To do it, we need to be united and work together to ensure a Labour victory. I hope this conference is an important step on that road. But whilst you're here in Liverpool, I hope you will also take some time to experience the delights of the city region. Liverpool is rightly renowned for its culture and its warmth of welcome, so please go out and enjoy both. There are lots of conference fringe events to attend to, and also the World Transformed Festival here in the city centre. Just up the road, the wonderful borough of Sefton offers you Anthony Gormley's Another Place sculpture at Crosby Beach, and the jewel in the crown, Southport. Southport's Lord Street is reputed to be the inspiration for Napoleon's tree-lined boulevards of Paris. It's a beautiful place that sadly, like many others, is now suffering from 8 years of Tory misrule. Let's end that and ensure the investment that only Labour will bring to restore, revive and reinvigorate our towns, cities and communities. Whatever you decide to do, I hope you enjoy your stay and make the most of this conference and this opportunity to unite for the many and not the few. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. And you know you have the support of this conference in the election whenever it comes. Conference. Said before, welcome to 2018 Labour Party Conference and welcome to the great city of Liverpool. We are here as the biggest political party in Europe, full of energy, full of ideas, full of passion to change our country and our society for the better. And mark my words, conference, change is coming. Maybe sooner, maybe later, but it's coming. And whenever it comes, we are going to be ready. That's what this week is all about. I want to particularly welcome any delegates who are here for the first time. I know it can be all seem confusing at first, maybe even a little intimidating. But trust me, you'll quickly get the hang of it. And I think you'll have a great time. We have important work to do in this hall, but there are so many opportunities outside too. So much to see and do, so many friends to make. Please get involved. and in as much as you can, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Conference, the members and affiliates are the heart and soul of our party. Here in this hall, you are sovereign. Our membership, well over 500,000 strong, is our party's biggest asset. If you add up our membership, add up the membership of every other political party in Britain, if you join them all together into a single anti-Labour party, and frankly, that's sometimes how it feels, there'd still be more than 100,000 short of us. As a political phenomenon, our membership is truly extraordinary, but it's more than just a number to boast about. And it's what our members do that counts. If we want to maximise that incredible advantage we have, then we need as many of our members as possible to be active in whatever way they can be. And the key to that is to make sure that they are engaged, that they feel their voice counts in this party. I've had the honour of being the chair of the National Executive Committee for the past year, and I would like to put on record my thanks to my union, the CWU, for their encouragement, support, and also a big thanks to the Labour Party staff who have assisted me throughout the year. Those staff are completely dedicated and do a tremendous job for us, for our party, and we should congratulate them for all they do on our behalf. We have seen changes in the party, the biggest of all being the appointment of our wonderful new General Secretary, Jenny Formby. Jenny, I consider both a friend and a comrade, and she's a real socialist. I know that she will do everything in her power to deliver a Labour victory at the next general election. But I'd also like to thank Ian McNichol, who stepped down as General Secretary in March. Ian is one of the longest-serving General Secretaries in our party's recent history, seeing us through 2 general elections. A complete turnaround in the party's finances and huge changes in our party's structures. Thank you, Ian, for all that you did and all that you will continue to do for our party. In my year as NEC chair, it's been fairly eventful now and again, I've got to say. But we've been taking significant steps towards unlocking the potential of our membership. And this week we will debate how we take that agenda further. Conference, in such a big party with people from so many different walks of life, it's crucial that we don't lose sight of the fundamental values that brings us together. The Labour Party was founded on ideas of respect and tolerance. We all have different views on this issue or that issue. Passions will run high. That's what we want. That's what having an active membership in a democratic conference means. But we debate in good faith. We engage each other as comrades. We respect each other's positions. And once we've decided, we move forward together. This is what's been part of the Labour family means. That's the spirit in which I know this conference will be conducted, because that's what our party, our movement is all about. So conference, let's get started. Thank you very much. Whoop. You missed the chair there. Conference, each day we will receive a report from the Conference Arrangements Committee on the timetable of debates and speeches and any other procedural issues. To present the first report, please welcome the Chair of the Committee, Harry Donaldson. Harry.
Chair, Conference, gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Liverpool for this year's annual meeting of our party. We meet here in this proud Labour city as a party of over 500,000 members. We welcome nearly 13,000 people who will join us here at Conference, and we meet here as a government in waiting. united and in permanent campaign mode, ready to win the next general election whenever it comes. I would like to thank the CAC Committee and our support staff for their work during this year. New members, Seema Chandwani, Billy Hayes and Lynn Morris, have joined our committee and have worked alongside myself, Fiona Wilson, Mick Murphy and Jane Taylor in preparation for this conference. We have listened to and responded to feedback from last year, particularly in relation to accessibility, and obviously pleased to welcome 40 accessibility stewards to the stewarding team this year. This increased team allows for extended working hours with accessibility stewards available from 8 a.m. through until 10 p.m. We hope this will ensure that all delegates have a positive experience at conference. The CAC has, for the first time this year, adopted an official charity partner for conference, and the chosen charity is the Mayor's Hope Fund. Donations can be made online at Just Giving, by text or through bucket collections around the conference site. And I would like to thank one of my colleagues, Seema Chandwani, for putting that forward to CAC. We also have a food bank collection point tomorrow at conference services for those able to make a donation on non-perishable food. CAC Report 1 has been available to all delegates and sets out the detailed agenda for today, as well as the broad timetable for the rest of this week. Please note that the correct time for the TUC speaker is 16:50, not 16:30 as listed on page 6, with the announcement of the contemporary issues priority ballot at 17:20 and the votes at 17:25. The CAC produces a daily written report with a detailed agenda, and these will be handed to delegates as they enter the conference hall, in addition to being sent out by mail each morning by 8 a.m. All conference documentation can be found on the members area of the Labour Party website, with CAC reports added each day. Hard copies are also available at the party stand. Here at conference in Liverpool, we are shaping the Labour Party's direction for the coming year and debating the party's democracy review. You will see from the agenda for the week that the CAC has sought to maximise the time available for debate, both on the conference floor and through the policy seminars that take place on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. Full details are provided in today's CAC report. Delegates and ex-officios are given priority in policy seminars, but where space allows, member visitors are also entitled to attend. The NEC met yesterday and agreed the rule changes to be debated by conference as a result of the democracy review announced prior to conference 2017. The full democracy review document can be viewed online on the members section of the Labour Party website. The details of the proposed rule changes are detailed in pages 29 to 55 of CAC 1. Due to the wide-ranging nature of the proposed rule changes, the result of the votes today have consequences, if agreed, on the CLP rule changes to be debated on Tuesday. Therefore, to ensure a maximum clarity and transparency for delegates, CAC 1 provides the details of the CLP rule changes that would fall should the NEC rules be passed. The remaining CLP rule changes are debated on Tuesday, and the full details of these will be printed in CAC 3 on Tuesday for ease of reference. Ballots taking place this week are detailed in the delegates' report and will be repeated in CAC reports for the relevant day. Today's ballot is a priorities ballot to determine which contemporary motions will be timetabled for debate during conference. The full text of these motions have been printed in a separate document to the CAC report due to the size of today's report. I hope everyone has received both reports. The CAC received 271 contemporary motions and considered these against the criteria set out in the delegates' report. 185 motions were considered contemporary and 17 were referred to the NEC. Those constituencies and organisations whose motions were not considered contemporary were given the right of appeal, and we thank the 20 constituencies who took up this opportunity. Today's ballot will decide 8 of the 17 subject areas which are to be debated at conference. The ballot opened at 10:30 a.m. and closes at 3 p.m. The 4 subject areas achieving the greatest percentage of votes in the affiliate section and the 4 achieving the greatest percentage of votes in the CLP sections will be timetabled for debate by the CAC. Results will be announced in the conference hall at approximately 5:30 p.m. Compensating meetings will take place in the ACC. They will be arranged with staggered start times, with the first meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m. Full details of these meetings will be announced by the Chair of Conference immediately after the announcements of the priorities ballot results. Delegates with motions in the priorities ballots should ensure that they make themselves aware of compensating arrangements should their motion succeed in the priorities ballot. 25 emergency motions were received by the deadline and considered against the criteria. The CAC has considered these motions and ruled 3 as meeting the criteria. Those deemed as not meeting the criteria have been offered the opportunity of an appeal, which will take place today. The CAC agreed this year that constituencies wishing to reference back part of the policy document should inform the CAC of their intention to do so by Friday the 21st of September at noon. 10 organisations have indicated they wish to do so and have been timetabled as detailed on page 14 of CAC 1 report. The CAC is grateful to those 10 CLPs for following the agreed process, but has agreed that any additional reference backs on part of policy documents that arise during conference will be accepted. The process for reference backs is detailed in CAC 1 on page 13. Yesterday, the National Women's Conference took place at ACC with hundreds of women attending. This year, for the first time, Women's Conference agreed a motion to be debated at annual conference. This is printed on page 17 to 19 of CAC 1 and will be debated this afternoon. On Monday, the ballot takes place to elect members of the National Auditor and National Policy Forum in Division 2. This ballot is open to trade union delegates and will take place between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. On Tuesday, the ballots take place to elect the trade union and CLP sections of the National Constitutional Committee. These are open to the trade union and CLP delegates only, and the general sections of the Conference Arrangement Committee. This ballot is open to all delegates. Please note that the delegates' report contained an error with Philippa Marsden incorrectly listed and Mick Murphy omitted. The full details of the ballot and the candidate statements will be printed in CAC 3. Tuesday's ballots will take place between 9 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. in the ballot area. The Leader's speech will take place on Wednesday at 12:15 p.m. and all delegates and ex-officio members will have allocated seats. Please take your seats promptly, as they will be reallocated shortly before the speech begins if you're not seated. Before I formally move the report, I wish to remind all attendees at conference that anyone wishing to enter the conference centre will need to be wearing a pass. This is also true of the conference hotel. Everyone should allow sufficient time to enter the conference centre, and all delegates and visitors are asked for their cooperation, and your patience is greatly appreciated. As ever, we want everyone to have a safe and enjoyable conference. The police, party staff, security staff and Labour Party stewards will be working tirelessly together to achieve that on your behalf. Chair, I move the report.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks, Harry. Thanks, Harry. As Harry says, CAC are in session throughout conference, so if you have any issues, it's much easier to go to see them rather than to raise them on the floor of conference. But there is now an opportunity for anyone who wishes to make any points or ask any questions about the CAC report. It would be helpful if you actually went back to your seats. If you do wish to make a point now, when you come to the lectern, please tell us your name and the organisation for which you are a delegate, and then make your point briefly. If you try to make a speech, I will stop you. If you are called, you should come straight up to speak, but after you have spoken, you will also need to register with the speaker's desk over to my right. Okay. Does anyone wish to raise any points? Obviously there is. I'll take delegate first. Yeah. Can I ask you to be brief?
Morning. Steve Hudson, Labour International CLP. I understand we can't reference back, so I move that we reject the CAC report. I believe that I get 3 minutes for that. My CLP has submitted a motion to conference on open selection, which will Labour members a guaranteed vote for the best candidate.
We do.
I can't help it if they cheer, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a vital motion, it's huge support, loads of CLPs, momentum handing in 50,000 signatures last night, support from Unite, support from the Fire Brigades Union. This is vital to our moment. Now, what's going to happen is under this agenda, the order of business that we have, we won't have this debate. Unfortunately, this is a fix, because if the NEC proposal on Westminster selections is passed, all of these consequential amendments fall. That means you don't get a debate. We want a democratic conference like we want a democratic Labour Party.
Delegate, it's not a speech. You made your point. Can I ask you to step down? You made your point.
Okay, well, I get 3 minutes to move.
No, you do not get 3 minutes.
You
do not get 3 minutes. It's for motions 3 minutes. It's a reference back. You've made your point. You sit down as other people want to get in. Your point's been made. I call the delegate over here.
Vote for a democratic conference. This is a fix. It's very unfortunate I don't get the 3 minutes allocated in the CAC report.
It's not allocated in the CAC report. Please read the CAC report. Next delegate, thank you.
Pete Firmin, Hampstead and Kilburn CLP, urging you to reject the CAC report. You would think that if conference is discussing rule changes, then it would discuss all rule changes at the same time. Not a situation where we discuss one day and then we may or may not be entitled to discuss what's left the day after. Comrades may remember we were repeatedly told the Democracy Review would not cover Westminster selections. Yet we now have a situation where the NEC has put one forward in preference to CLPs that have been waiting a year to have it discussed. I urge you to reject. Let's have one discussion of all the rule changes.
Thanks, Peter. Delegate.
I just wanted to add to what everybody here today has said so far. Rebecca Bumala, Oxford East, CLP. I want to raise the point today, conference, that the way the Democracy Review is presented to conference does not allow for adequate debate. The key example that I want to raise today is on page 39 and 56 of the CAC report, where there is a proposal for electing the BAME Labour NEC seat that is given in the Democracy Review, and a separate rule change that has been submitted by Battersea CLP on page 56, which gives a different proposal for the election of the BAME Labour NEC seat. Now, BAME members of the Labour Party must be given the opportunity to have a full debate over these crucial issues related to how our collective voice in the party is represented, especially considering the current insulting status quo where only 731 ballots were sent out for last year's BAME Labour NEC elections, which clearly illustrates the need for change. So I propose that the motion be taken at the same time as the Democracy Review debate on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. The delegate there. Yeah.
Hi, Jason Phillips from Epping Forest, CLP. Our communication systems leave something to be desired. When we submitted our contemporary motion, we hadn't been given the proper instructions about how to put together a contemporary motion. And I would like the CAC to consider that and look through every single contemporary motion, again, given that CLPs, not just mine, haven't been given the proper instructions.
The delegate, yeah. first.
Hi, my name is Christopher Webb, and I'm very happy to be in Liverpool representing Brighton Pavilion CLP, and I look forward to welcoming you all to conference next year in my home. Speaking of Brighton Pavilion, last year at conference, Brighton Pavilion CLP was due to be given 3,500 votes to match our paid-up membership on every ballot. But when we got to the priorities ballot, we were only allocated 1,806 votes. When we queried this with CAC, Legal Queries got back to us and told us that we only had 1,806 qualifying members. We asked CAC to explain this, and we are eagerly awaiting their reply. Can CAC now confirm the number of votes that were allocated to Brighton Pavilion CAC last year? And it would be very much appreciated if they could confirm with us, and perhaps every CLP, how many everyone would be getting this year before any votes are due to take place, to prevent anything like this from happening now.
Delegate there, yeah. Go on, come on.
Chair and conference, I take no pleasure in doing this, but I think democracy demands that we refer the democracy review report and decision making back to the 500,000 members who have not had an opportunity to look at the report. Like delegates here, they've not had an opportunity to look at the report, to consider the implications of proposals, and to agree or disagree with them. I feel in an appalling position today. I've been mandated to abstain on this because my constituency did not want to cast votes for things that they had no idea of the implications of. I would prefer that we made the decisions all together, as a previous speaker said, next year.
Delegate there, yeah. There's a delegate up the back, if you come down. Yep.
Judy Richards, Brighton Pavilion CLP. Sorry, my first time delegate and a first time speaker. And this is a nightmare getting up here and up those steps. Apologies if I stumble with my words, but we submitted an emergency motion around proposed boundary changes. It's been rejected. We're appealing and are hopeful, confident that we will get that appeal. But we want to know, how will conference be told that the appeal has been decided upon? And if we do win the appeal, at which point will that motion get debated? Thank you.
What? Yep.
Thank you, conference. Martha Folds, Sheffield Central CLP, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. I'm grateful for the work that's been done this conference on making it more accessible to disabled members, but I'm disappointed that I can't read the CAC1 report because it hasn't been converted to large print yet. I've been told that it will be ready for 12 o'clock, but we're discussing it now. Please vote it down, because if I can't access it, and I can't have my say, I can't represent members in Sheffield Central, and that isn't fair. Thank you very much.
Delegate, yeah. Yeah, please. Come.
Hello, conference. I'm Heather from Hackney South. I'm here on behalf of my delegation. Thank you. There are lots of motions on housing. Some of them have been classified as housing, some of them have been classified as tenants' rights. I'd like to reference back CAC 1 because I'd like them all to be classified together. If you look at the housing motions, lots have stuff about private rental and about issues related to tenants' rights. If you look at our motion and the other motions on tenants' rights, they relate to homelessness and the causes of homelessness. They relate to housing issues. It would be much stronger if we could put all of those together. We've talked to people in other delegations who support this, and we feel we could composite together and we get a stronger motion that would get better policy on housing for Labour Party. So that's why I'm referencing back. Thank you.
Is another delegate at all? Yeah.
Lucy Atkinson, Lancaster and Fleetwood CLP. Conference, for me, this isn't a factional or about any specific policy, it's purely about timings. This report came through to my emails at 7:55. Since then, I've been walking to conference and at my regional briefing. Whilst I really respect the hard work of the party staff that must have been up all night in order to get this to us, we owe it to them to be able to actually have the time to read this report. It's hardly democratic to not have a chance to read a democracy review. I don't know about you guys, but I've only had the chance to read a Labour list summary, and whilst it was very good, I personally would like to be able to properly go through the whole thing, and also maybe even consult our CLPs a little bit. I reference back so that we move this on a different day of conference or possibly next year. Thank you.
Delegate, yep. Delegate, there.
Simon Temple, Hazel Grove, CLP. I move that we reject the Conference Arrangements Committee's report because it programmes the NEC's recommendations from the Democracy Review for debate today. We've only seen these proposed rule changes, which run to 37 pages in the CAC report, in the past 2 hours. None of us have had a proper opportunity to consider them and decide whether or not we or our organisations would support them. There's much truth in the old saying, decide in haste, repent at leisure. So I suggest that the Conference Arrangements Committee programmes these items for debate on Tuesday, so all delegations have the opportunity to consider the report and rule changes properly before deciding our view on them. Hopefully, Chair, you will allow the conference to continue with other items on today's agenda while the CAC reviews the programme as I've suggested.
Right. Delegate there, yeah. I think that's it now. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Comrades, Patricia Hannah-Wood from Pendle. We haven't had a chance to discuss this. We haven't had a chance to look at it. I reject the motion.
Thank you. I'm going to... Thanks, everyone. I'm going to ask Harry to reply to the points that have been raised. Harry.
Thanks, Conference. I'll respond in reverse order, if that's okay. Patricia from Pendle, on the issue of that situation, obviously that will be decided by Conference to accept or reject CAC 1. Lucy, again, was the indication of needing more time. The issue is there will be an opportunity of a lengthy debate during the course of today and this afternoon, at which time hopefully that will give delegates the opportunity then to consider, review and then make informed decisions. Heather from Hackney South, again on housing and tenants' right. The subject headings were agreed by the CAC and delegates can vote for subjects they wish to prioritise. On Martha from Sheffield Central, CAC 1, again the large print by midday. Again the issue, we hope to have it with delegates as soon as possible. So the issue is with the delay has been a difficulty that's there in terms of the timescale and the timeframes in terms of to produce this. So we do apologise, but hopefully that will get to it and be able to get it during the course of the debate. And Judy from Brighton Pavilion, we have an opportunity today at CAC will consider appeals and timetable at the appropriate point in the agendas. Hopefully that will cover that. And Brenda from Weston, reports are clear again that votes take place at the end of the session and there is an opportunity for debate. In Brighton Pavilion, in responding, again, we will consider your request. And Jason from Epping Forest, again, thank you for coming to an appeal and thanks for your points. The criteria was sent out to all organisations and, again, is dependent on meeting the criteria. On Oxford East, large debate today again before and after lunch in terms of the timescale and the time frame in which colleagues in conference have the opportunity to then consider and take an informed response on rule changes. In Kilburn, and again, the timetable has been clear, the NEC Democracy Review today and the CLP constitutional amendments on Tuesday. So the timetable has been indicated quite clearly and timetabled for today in the Democracy Review by the decisions with the NEC. And again, to Steve, Labour International, again asked to reject the CAC report. NEC presents its report and there will be a debate today again in detail. The consequences of votes are clearly detailed in CAC 1, so delegates should not be confused at all by the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Conference, if you bear with me for a second. Conference, we will be taking one vote on the CAC report, whether to accept the report or not. So if you feel strongly enough about the issue you raised, you should vote not to accept the report. If the report is not accepted, I will ask Harry to come back to the lectern and move formally that we proceed with the business. The CAC will then meet to consider the issues which have been raised, and Harry will report back as soon as possible. So we're clear on that. And just because of the voting procedures in this conference. Conference, as you may know, voting at annual conference is calculated on an electoral college divided into two parts. The votes of delegates from affiliated organisations make up 50% of conference, and votes from delegates from CLPs make up the other 50%. This year, we have approximately 300 delegates of affiliated organisations making up 50% of the total votes, and 1,500 delegates of CLPs making up the other 50%. So you can see that a show of hands would be misleading, or could be misleading. In view of that, we are proposing that if the initial show of hands is inconclusive, we will then take separate show of hand votes. Firstly, we'll take the CLP votes for and against. Then we'll take all affiliated organisations for and against. If the result of that is still unclear, we'll then move to a card vote. Firstly, we'll take just CLP delegates. Can I see? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do that way first. Yeah. So I'm going to try everyone. So all those in favour of the CAC report, please show. All those against? No. No, you should have just listened to what I just said to you. So now we'll move to stage two. Right, firstly, I'm going to take the vote for CLP delegates only. Only CLP delegates will vote in this one. Okay, can I see all those in favour from the CLPs, all those in favour of accepting the CAC report? Please show. Okay. Those against? Not there finished yet. Thank you. That was close. Now we'll take just affiliated delegates to vote. Can I see from the affiliated organisations, all the delegates, all those in favour of the CAC report, please show. All those against? Well, there we are then. That was clear, wasn't it? So obviously, I think you can see what the situation is here. So I have no option but to ask for a card vote. So this will be card vote 9 on the CAC report. Card vote number 9.
So can you ask all delegates to
There's a vote been taken, so we're going to the vote. It's card vote 9. So if you wish to accept the report, you should vote for, and if you wish to oppose the report, obviously you'll vote against. Can I ask you to all remain in your seats while the votes have been taken, so we can do it as quickly as possible? I ask you all to remain in your seats, please. Vote. Can I ask you to hold your card votes up so we can tell us, can pick them up? Can I ask everyone to take their seats? Hold your card votes up clearly so we can get through this as quick as possible. Thank you. She's gone down. She's up. Conference, can I ask you all to sit down, please, so we can try and take the ballot, the card vote. Can I ask those who are still to get the card vote collected to hold it high? Can everyone else please sit down so we can get this vote done as soon as possible? Thank you. Everyone. Andy. Anyone else still got the vote to be taken? that's the... yeah. Can I ask everyone to sit down for a second, please, if you don't mind, please, including the cameramen, so I can see the rest of the conference. Take your seats, please. Excuse me, can you take your seats? Can I ask, has anybody not voted yet? Thank you. Anybody not voted? I'm aware there's a long queue of people will get the cards. These people should have picked up their cards before they came into the hall, but I have to work with it. So, is anybody else, is a delegate, is the teller still here? There's somebody on over this side who's still to vote. Could you put up your hand, please? Who's anyone else still to vote? I'm going to move on with business, but I'll tell you, there is an issue. I don't know if you heard the delegate. I'll explain. Please, if you could please be quiet for a second. Thank you, thank you. There's a few delegates who still hadn't picked up the card votes. I'm going to move on with business, but those delegates who are still collecting them, we will arrange for them still to be able to vote in this as soon as possible, because we're going to do that. Okay, so I'm moving on. So I'm going to ask Harry to come back to the lectern. Harry.
Conference, in view of the card vote, I would ask Conference if they could agree to continue with Conference up until such time as the democracy review is scheduled, by which time we will hopefully have the vote, and then we'll know clearly what the outcome of that vote is.
Thanks, Harry. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on the agenda at this point. Conference, we now come to the point where we recognise members who have made an outstanding contribution to the party through the presentation of the Merit Award. We have 4 winners this year. Our first Merit Award today is presented jointly to Molly Fowler and Trevor Fowler, who have been nominated by Wickham CLP. Molly and Trevor were born in the early 1930s and both joined the Labour Party over 60 years ago. Trevor began working in newspapers as a teenager and was a member of the National Graphical Association. He became an active Wickham Labour Party and in the Wickham Labour Party and in local community in the 1950s. And over the next 50 years, served for periods as a district and county councillor, including being the leader of Buckinghamshire Labour Group, and also supported and helped numerous local organisations. Molly, as well, has been active in the local Labour Party, also served many local community organisations such as youth clubs and in the Scouts, for which she was awarded the MBE in 2001. She was also a cornerstone in the Wickham Labour Party, holding many roles, including CLP Treasurer, right up until 2 years ago. Both Molly and Trevor campaigned when they were in their mid-80s in last year's general election, when Labour won its highest ever share of the vote in Wickham. Conference, very sadly, Trevor recently died. And understandably, Molly is unable to be with us today. However, to receive the award on their behalf, I would like to welcome the CLP Secretary, Adam Coulthard, to come up. Adam, please come forward and accept the award on behalf of Molly and Trevor. Thanks, Adam, and pass on our very best wishes to Molly. Our next award is to Pauline Kilner of Sheffield South East CLP. Pauline has just turned 80 years old and has been a member of the Labour Party since 1979 and a member of Unison for almost 50 years. She's not someone who has sought office in the Labour Party, but is tireless and a willing activist, prepared to help with any task, large or small, to help the Labour Party be successful and win elections. Pauline's father was a branch officer in the NUR, and Pauline grew up helping him to collect and record the subscriptions. These teeth. Pauline used her administrative skills to organise fundraisers and functions along with her in-service death collections and funerals. Pauline has been treasurer in a number of societies, including the Scouts, her local church and its local social group. She's also shown huge commitment to her community and society in general, and the list of organisations she supports and helps is absolutely phenomenal. When necessary, taking their concerns and their views to councillors, MPs, MEPs and bureaucracies such as the NHS and local forums. Pauline, please come forward and accept your award. Thank you. Thanks very much, Pauline. Thank you. Our final award winner is Walter Wolfgang of Richmond Park, CLP. Walter was born in Germany and came to Britain as a teenager and has been living here ever since. He and his parents settled in Richmond in the late 1930s. He joined the Labour Party in 1948 and has been an active member of its governing bodies, including at constituency level. He is widely respected and much admired for his wisdom, experience and generosity. As a peace activist, he has gained respect that his vision will bring about a fair and civilised society based on socialist principles. He is also known for his membership of other campaigning groups supporting the causes of peace, socialism and democracy. For example, he was the secretary of the Victory for Socialism group, a founder member of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, elected member of the Labour Party's National Executive Committee, and is still a long-term member of Campaign for Labour Party Democracy. His publications since 1954 to the present day remain influential, making an invaluable contribution to the Labour Party's efforts to promote peace and disarmament in the world. He has been equally influential in promoting democracy in the Labour Party and well beyond. In sum, he's been an asset to the party, to the socialist movement, and a committed and articulate individual who has been strong in defending our shared aims and able to do so honestly and openly throughout his life. when he said more than 10 years ago about nuclear disarmament is still true about Walter today. Progress has been good, considering the size of the task. Why would I give up? Conference, Walter, unfortunately, is unable to be with us today. But we have this short video of him receiving his award.
I am deeply touched receiving the Merit Award. I do not deserve it. I have merely done what I had to do. My strong commitment to Judaism and the Jewish values of social justice, human brotherhood, and the pursuit of peace made me join the Labour Party and support Jeremy Corbyn's socialist policies, and who, quite frankly, has been an inspiration over the years. Full employment, public ownership, and extending trade union rights, and a peace policy based on negotiations, global nuclear disarmament, and free discussion on justice for Palestinians.
Well deserved. Conference, thanks to all our Merit Award winners. Conference, we takes us on to obituaries. Conference, we've lost a number of valued colleagues over the last year. The names of some of them are listed on page 13 of the NEC annual report and in the Conference Arrangements Committee report number 1. There may be others who are known to you. Conference, we will celebrate the lives of our colleagues with applause, so please stand now and remember all those who we have lost since we last met. Thank you. Thank you, Conference. Thank you. Thank you very much. Conference, now it gives me great pleasure to introduce, I'm really delighted to introduce our new General Secretary, sitting next to me, Jenny Formby. You need to speak to her. Conference, our rules require that the appointment be confirmed by annual conference. So I will formally ask that we agree that Jenny Formby should be our new General Secretary. Hopefully it will be. And I'm going to, can I see all those in favour? Can I see all those who dare to go against? Thank you very much. And now you are elected, Jenny. She was slightly panicking earlier. No, she wasn't. Shortly, Jenny will be addressing us, but first we have a video to show.
Thank you, Chair. Conference. Friends, comrades, thank you. Thank you. It's a huge honour to be elected as General Secretary of our great party. Only the second woman in the history of our movement to hold that position. And with our party at the strongest it has ever been, with over 500,000 members. How amazing. I first joined the party when I joined my trade union. That was over 40 years ago now. And not long afterwards, I was elected to be ward organiser, and I was dead excited. But never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that one day I'd stand before you as your General Secretary. So thank you for electing me. I'm very, very proud. And when I was ward organiser, I was thrilled when our ward won our first seat from the Tories in many, many years. And my determination to win elections has never diminished since that date. Of course, we face many challenges, but they're challenges I believe we can overcome. And some of those challenges are internal. And as a woman who's fought sexism and misogyny my whole life, I take sexual harassment very seriously. And that's why I've personally overseen a further review of our procedures to deal with sexual harassment. There were a number of improvements before I took office, but they're still not good enough to give every member the confidence that if they face problems of sexual harassment or assault, they know they will be taken very seriously and their complaints dealt with properly. So the NEC Disputes Working Group's been working on this as well as other issues, and I hope you'll support the rule changes on this to make sure that our whole complaints process is fit for purpose. Most of us have been trade unionists our entire life, so we expect nothing less, and we will accept nothing less. And anti-Semitism too has been in the headlines for many months, and there's no point denying it's made for very hard reading. But we have made significant progress on dealing with it. We fully implemented the recommendations of the Chakrabarty report. We've appointed an in-house counsel. We've adopted a code of conduct that we're still continuing to consult on. We've set up special panels of the Disputes Committee that have cleared all the outstanding cases that have been put before the NEC. We've made recommendations on rule changes that I hope you'll support to more than double the NCC and to set clear time limits for cases to be heard. And we're now also embarking on consultation on an extensive education and training programme to ensure members truly understand the issues. There is, of course, no place for anti-Semitism anywhere in our movement or in our society, and we will always take action where it's identified. Our party is nothing if we don't stand united against oppression and in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Equally, we recognise the most frequent complaints arise when issues of Israel and Palestine are discussed. So we must ensure our members have the tools and language to be able to debate those vitally important issues. We will not allow the voices of Palestinian people to be silenced, and members must be able to speak out about the terrible injustices that they face. But freedom of expression does not mean freedom to be anti-Semitic, and it's our responsibility to ensure members understand what is and is not acceptable. And over coming months, we will also be developing more detailed political education and training materials to help us tackle all forms of racism, including Islamophobia. Something the Tories have failed to tackle in their party, yet they dare to try to take the moral high ground. And we must never forget that the Tories are the party that has so shamefully betrayed the Windrush generation again and again and again. We're better than that. We're united by our class, We're united by our ideals. We're all striving for a fairer and more equal society, and we will not allow anyone to divide us against each other. And that's why unity is so important. We're facing a Conservative Party more divided than ever before. A Tory government that's devastating communities, that's driven 4.5 million children into poverty, 12% of our entire population living in persistent poverty, with food banks the norm. Jacob Rees-Mogg has said he thought the existence of food banks was uplifting. Well, I've got a message for him. Food banks are not uplifting. They drive us down as a society, and it's a disgrace they're needed in 21st century Britain. Tory policy has left hospitals struggling to cope, social care failing the most vulnerable in our society, millions living in substandard accommodation, an infrastructure that's collapsing. And instead of our children having a brighter future than we did, they face a very bleak world with very few opportunities. So we have got an absolute responsibility to unite to beat this callous and cruel government. And that means setting an example from the top down, all of us, whether we're senior officials, MPs, councillors, or our huge army of members on the ground. We must stand united together and united behind our leader, Jeremy Corbyn. United to fight the Tories and return a Labour government as soon as possible. I've got 3 key priorities for the party in the coming months: to organise, to grow and to win. We've got to organise, to mobilise our vast army of supporters to join us in campaigning. We must grow our party, keep driving membership forward every week. That not just gives us financial security, but most importantly, it strengthens that campaigning army. And our constant objective must always be to win people to our policies and our vision of what a Labour government will deliver, to win councils, to transform our communities, and of course, to win a general election, the sooner the better. And this determination to organise, to grow and to win is even more important when we're faced with a Tory government that's hell-bent on gerrymandering our electoral system. With their plans both to push through boundary changes to reduce the number of constituencies and to extend voter ID at polling stations. 2 moves that strike at the heart of our democracy, both designed to give them a built-in advantage. Well, they may have pushed their plans for the boundary changes into the long grass for now, because they're so absorbed in their infighting over the Brexit shambles that they've created. But with a system that we know will disproportionately affect Labour seats, it's too important for them to shelve, so we've got to be ready for it. And voter ID is just as undemocratic. There's no evidence of widespread electoral fraud, so there's no justification for this move. It's yet another Tory ploy to attack our democracy and silence oppression. We fought for the right to vote. We will not let the Tories take that right away. So as well as highlighting and challenging these underhand tactics in every way we can, we're going to run high-profile voter registration campaigns, targeting young people in particular, exposing the Tories' contempt for democracy and making sure no one is disenfranchised. And that's why Labour's community organising initiative is so important. Jeremy's vision of community organising is at last becoming a reality. Over the last 6 months, we've recruited community organisers in every region and nation. And community organising is going to be at the heart of everything we do. Completely integrated within the regions and nations and working with members and, most importantly, our CLPs, building bottom-up, member-led, people-powered organising campaigns. We're identifying leaders in every community to take those campaigns forward, building self-sustaining campaigning structures. And they're already doing incredible things. Our vibrant barnstorming events in key marginals have been attracting huge numbers. People turning up in their hundreds in places like Walsall, Glasgow, Mansfield and Hastings. attracting so many people excited by our ideas that in some towns they can't even fit into the venues and they spill out onto their streets. Fantastic stuff. And genuine community engagement is also an absolute priority. So I've made it a key objective for our regions, nations, and our community organising teams. In many areas, I have to say we've neglected black and minority ethnic communities. We've taken them for granted. We've gone to them when we want our votes or their financial support. And that's not good enough. So we will significantly step up our engagement with all BAME communities. And I'm very excited to announce the new Bernie Grant Leadership Programme to be launched in the autumn. This is going to mirror the successful Jo Cox Leadership Programme for women, but will be aimed specifically at BAME members. And I've asked our regions and nations to develop similar initiatives at local level, working hand in hand with all underrepresented groups, both to engage with every part of our hugely diverse membership to build confidence to stand for office, and to make us truly representative of the communities we live and work in. But also to listen to those communities, to understand what issues matter to them most, and work with them to develop strong and vibrant campaigns around those issues, making a reality of two of our most important principles, principles that have to drive everything we do: solidarity and collectivism. And together with our vision for a better future, this must be the glue that binds us together. And I'd just like to finish by saying a huge thank you. Thank you to every single one of our 550,000 members. You are the backbone of our party. You're out in all weathers, week in, week out, making a difference. Without our members' involvement, we're nothing. And that's why the Democracy Review that we're going to discuss today is so important. It's our members' chance for your voice to be heard. And with members like you, I know we can win. We can win for our families. We can win for our communities. We can win a Labour government that will transform the lives of so many people, with Jeremy Corbyn as our Prime Minister for the many, not the few. Have a great conference, everyone. Thank you, conference. And it's now that time of year again for our Best Practice Awards. Every year at annual conference, our Best Practice Awards highlight the innovative and exciting work of our local CLPs, candidates, elected representatives, societies, member-led and affiliated organisations in their campaigning and their work in the community. For our Best Labour Party Campaign category, I'm pleased to announce the winner is Plymouth Labor Party. Plymouth focused on Tory service failure at a local level, and they pledged to get the basics right. Campaign coordinators identified local issues, such as the closure of libraries, parking problems and cuts to refuse collections, and to engage with the local community. The newly elected MP, Luke Pollard, worked with local councillors, organising engagement events such as litter picks, surgeries and conversations on topics such as homelessness and school closures. They campaigned under the slogan, Plymouth, a city to be proud of, and they had a great night on the 3rd of May, winning against the odds. So here to accept the award are Councillor Tudor Evans, OBE, leader of Plymouth City Council, and Charlotte Holloway, the parliamentary candidate for Plymouth Moor. And of course, Luke, our MP. Very well done. For our Best Labour Party Digital Campaign Award, I'm pleased to announce that the winner is Corbyn East Northamptonshire CLP and their parliamentary candidate Beth Miller. Corbyn produced interesting and engaging content which keeps the public up to date with local issues. Beth and the CLP utilised social media alongside traditional campaigning methods to communicate with areas of the constituency that are harder to reach, producing localised content on issues that matter and effectively targeting their messages. Beth has an average of 242 engagements for each of her posts compared to the incumbent MP, who only has 10. That's 24 times more engagement with our audiences. Here to accept the award are Beth Miller, the parliamentary candidate for Corby, and Isabel Stevenson, Vice Chair of Corby CLP. Our next category is new to the Best Practice Awards, and it recognises the work to bring the community organising to life within the Labour movement. The winner of the Community Champions category is Gower CLP and Tonya Antoniazzi MP. The Holiday Lunch Club was started by Swansea East MP Carolyn. The Holiday Lunch Club was started by Swansea East MP Carolyn Harris in 2017 when local food banks ran out of supplies. Just think about that for a minute. With school closed for the summer and years of harsh Tory austerity, it meant some children were going hungry. Tonya and the team worked to implement the scheme in Gower, with local businesses donating food and members from the CLP and community groups coming forward to make the lunches. Over 1,600 packed lunches were made in 2 weeks in Gower, showing the difference that could be made when local Labour members and the community work together. So here to accept the award are Tonya, together with Councillor Kelly Roberts. And actually, that was, in fact, Councillor Christine Richards, not Councillor Kelly Roberts. So for our Labour in Local Government Award, the NEC wanted to award Ealing Council for their safe zone around abortion clinics. For 20 years, anti-choice activists gathered outside the Mari Stopes Clinic in Ealing to harass and intimidate vulnerable women and clinic staff. The Labour group felt this was unacceptable, and in April 2018, the Cabinet established a Public Spaces Protection Order with the support of 90% of local residents. This is the first safe zone of its kind in the UK. Ealing Labour have always said this is not just about the borough, but about showing that a national resolution to this issue is important to protect all women who face abuse across the country. So here to accept the award are Councillor Julian Bell, Leader of Ealing Council, and Councillor Joanne Kamadu, Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Inclusion.
Congratulations.
The next award is engaging members and supporters, a key part to any local Labour Party success. And I'm delighted to give the award for this category to Calder Valley LGBT+ group. Max Beckman and Ray Dowles have built an active group of over 50 LGBT+ members, taking the time to meet new members one-to-one. The group has regular meetings to build the group identity and to discuss policy and campaigning. They also facilitate shared space meetings so members can get to know each other and explore LGBT+ issues in a safe space. The group have clear objectives to engage with LGBT+ members and to encourage them to become active campaigners to unseat the Tory MP who consistently votes against LGBT+ rights and to get the LGBT+ vote out for Labour. So here to accept the award are Calder Valley's LGBT+ officers, Max Beckman and Ray Dowles. And last but not least, our final category is the Adele Memorial Award for working across the Labour movement. I'm delighted that I've spoken personally to Adele family, who are very supportive of the award this year to the Cooperative Party's Charter Against Modern Slavery. The Charter is a procurement-focused measure which seeks to tackle the scourge of modern slavery through local authority supply chains. The Charter's points include trade union recognition, whistleblowing policies and a commitment to challenging abnormally low tenders. A huge amount of Labour councils have committed to implement the Charter, and Labour councillors in opposition and in coalition have secured the implementation of the Charter in their councils too. Around 5.6 million people now live in areas where their council is tackling modern slavery in their supply chains. So here to accept the award are Councillor Emma Hoddinott, Local Government Officer for the Cooperative Party, and Councillor Nick Crofts, President of the Cooperative Group National Members Council.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny, and congratulations to all our award winners. A couple of announcements to make. First of all, for those attending the policy seminars in halls 1, 1B and 1C who require a hearing loop, please collect a hearing necklace from Guest Relations Desk on the ground floor of the ACC. So anyone who needs it, please collect it from the Guest Relations Desk on the ground floor of the ACC. Thank you. Conference, we now have the result of card vote 9. In favour of accepting the CAC report, 53.63%, against 46.37%. So therefore, the CAC report is therefore accepted by conference. So we will now proceed with the timetable as set out in that report. We move on now to the Democracy Review. And we'll begin our debate on the Democracy Review. The review was set up last year to consider a range of potential ideas for improving our democratic structures. Many thousands of members took part in the consultation and the report presented to the NEC. The National Executive Committee has published a statement on the report, which is contained on page 27 of the CAC report number 1. The NEC is proposing a number of rule changes which are set out on pages 29 to 55 of the CAC report 1. Shortly, Ian Levery will speak, then Claudia Webb, who will move these rule changes on behalf of the NEC. We will then open up the debate to floor speakers. We will continue that debate up to lunchtime and for much of the afternoon session. It'll be one debate and speakers may speak on any one or more of the proposals. We will take the votes at the end of the afternoon session. These must be taken as card votes. So now it gives me great pleasure to invite Ian Lavery to address conference. Ian.
Good morning, conference. It's an absolute pleasure. It's a privilege for me as the chair of our great party to address you all in this fantastic Labour city of Liverpool. Colleagues, in 2015, the Labour Party took a different direction. And back then, Jeremy Corbyn pledged to open up the party and empower our membership to make positive changes in the communities and across our country. Colleagues, following a few minor distractions, the EU referendum, the general election, the leadership election, to name but a few, the Democracy Review began in November 2017. This is Jeremy Corbyn's Democracy Review. And it's important, conference, to realise how significant and indeed symbolic simply having a review of this nature has been. It's been one of the largest projects in the Labour Party democracy ever undertaken. And I'd like to place on record my thanks to Katie Clark, to Andy Kerr and Claudia Webb for the hard work in conducting this review. You know, at the closing date, we had 11,425 submissions received from constituency Labour parties, from branches, from other organisations, from trade unions, from socialist societies, and individual Labour Party members. Many of the submissions were the result of much detailed discussion in CLPs, in union branches, the length and the breadth of this country. And a huge amount of time and commitment is being expended in the review from Labour Party members and the trade union movement. So very, very, very clear, positive messages from the review. Conference members want more transparency. They want more accountability and a more responsive structure. Members want the party to be open up to the wider community, to build a mass movement for change, which will sweep us into power. And both members and affiliates recognise the strength that comes from the trade unions that founded our party. And of course, those millions of affiliated members have been the bedrock of this party ever since. Conference, in order to ensure that our vision for a Britain that works for the many and not the few becomes a reality, it's essential that our party structures and the rules are fit for the future. This will need compromise. It'll need patience in abundance. But conference, we need to keep our eyes on the big picture, and that's the ultimate objective of winning the next election, which could be sooner rather than later. Conference, rapid technological advances and an ever-growing membership mean it's now more important than ever that we take stock of where we are as a party and to use this to empower our members to make the positive changes in their communities. It's also important to recognise and understand that as a party with more than 500,000 members, brimming with the brilliant ideas, it's been impossible to deal with every suggestion or indeed to fully satisfy everyone. But today's debate, it's just the beginning of a process to transform our party, to transform this country. We have specific rule changes on some parts of the review which are being debated today, including increasing the members and trade union participation in the nomination process of electing the leader and the deputy leader of the party and the process for the selection of individual members of Parliament. We've got a charter for members' rights. We're looking to support members who dedicate their lives to building our party up and down this country. We're looking to radically reform structures for our black, Asian and minority ethnic members and disabled members. We're looking to create a new disabled members seat on the NEC and on the Conference Arrangements Committee. Conference, we're looking to create a new women's structure at national and regional level, long overdue. To have by-elections for vacant NEC places. We're looking to open up annual conference by removing the contemporary motion criteria and increasing the number of debates which are scheduled to take place each year. But conference, as the biggest political party in Western Europe, it's imperative that we leave no stone unturned. Jeremy Corbyn's Democracy Review report is full of great feedback and well thought through ideas which come from you, the members of the party. And whilst we debate specific rule changes today, we must resolve to ensure the work that has gone into the review is not included, which isn't included, is not lost. Very, very important. Our members want to transform our party, to build an unstoppable movement for change. A democratic members-led party working hand in hand with the trade union movement. The party which Jeremy argued for when he stood to be leader, and people in this room put him in that position. And comrades, let me tell you this, we must deliver that vision. The ideas that will change the world lie amongst our members and within the millions of trade union affiliates. We have a duty to ensure that these ideas do not remain locked away because of antiquated, inflexible structures that stifle debate and stage-manage party process. That's why, conference, the NEC produced a statement committing to the implementation of ideas not requiring changes to the current rules. But in saying that, we have got responsibilities as well. And as a mass membership party, that those who hold passionate views on a whole wide range of different issues. But we should be able to debate robustly, but always respectfully. And we always remember that our party's always been at its best when members and affiliates work together in pursuit of a fairer Britain. Conference, these recommendations are simply the beginning. We've been set a task by you, the members of our party, and we've a duty to build the transformative Labour Party that'll take us into power. Labour, we are a government in waiting. And it's only that strong bond of solidarity and unity can we take those keys to number 10. And as the old trade union banners proudly proclaim, the past we inherit, the future we build. Unity is strength. Let's grasp this opportunity, conference. Seek to fulfill our collective vision of a party whose very reason for existing is a nation of hope, aspiration, equality, justice and fairness for the many and not the few. Thank you.
The conference, before we take speakers, and thank you very much, Ian, for that inspiring speech. Before we take speakers from the floor, I will now ask Claudia Webb to move the rule changes on behalf of the National Executive Committee. Claudia.
Thank you. That was actually a great speech by Ian summarising our direction of travel. It's my job now to introduce the rule changes. Today we have the opportunity to make significant democratic changes to our rule book. These are 8 sections. There were 8 sections with rule changes grouped by theme, and so that means 8 card votes. Card vote 1 deals with individual members' rights. These are a comprehensive set of measures that will increase our democratic process, ensuring greater participation and engagement. Members, through submissions and attendance at roadshows and events across the country, have shaped what is the most progressive extension of members' rights in a generation, with rights codified and covering attendance at meetings, standing for positions and elections, with fees and barriers removed from participation in BAME and disabled members' structures. Card vote 2, about local structures, our CLPs and branch structures. The fantastic contributions from our members means we are proposing strengthened general committees, opening up executive committees and giving CLPs the chance to establish local equality branches for all our equality strands, building on the best practices of women's and BAME forums already established in many areas. Card vote 3, our regional structures. Our regional structures are pivotal. A pivotal link between our local and national structures. The proposed rule changes set out a clear and ambiguous relationship. Card vote 4, our national structures, the NEC. This is a comprehensive set of changes emanating from member feedback that aim to create a pathway to a members-led NEC, increase democracy and improve representation with all BAME members of the Labour Party, for the first time involved in the election of their NEC representative. Card vote 5, about national structures, the National Conference. This set of amendments seeks to increase participation in national conferences and opens up our sovereign body, giving greater power to members, more motions, fewer restrictions of what we, the members, can debate. Card vote 6, national structures, the leadership elections. These rules are the very essence of radical change, and sum up the democracy review, enshrining inclusivity and maximising participation. Card vote 7, the National Constitutional Committee. Conference will know there is an urgent requirement for the NCC to be expanded to be able to deal with the demands of the party that has trebled in size in recent years and ensure fair, transparent and timely processes given the safeguards that members demand. Card vote 8. Finally, Westminster selections. These changes ensure greater participation for members and affiliates in the selection of all parliamentary candidates. There is also an NEC statement, as Ian has pointed out, in your Conference Arrangements Committee report. Many of the recommendations of the Democracy Review do not fall under the scope of our rulebook, but need changes to internal processes, training and support for CLPs. Our statement is our commitment to tackle those over the course of the coming year and report back next year. The NEC recommends support for all 8 card votes and the NEC statement. Conference, I move.
Thanks, Claudia. We'll now take speakers on these rule changes. I will call speakers in threes. If you're called to speak, then you will first need to register at the front desk, which is over to my right. When you speak, please start by saying what your name is and which constituency or affiliated organisation you represent. You can speak for up to 3 minutes, and the screens by the lectern will show you the time you have left. Conference, as Harry Donaldson explained this morning, all delegates must remain in their seats when we are calling speakers. If you wish to speak, then raise your hand. If you seek to attract attention by standing on your seat or by waving a prop, whether it's a multicoloured parrot or anything else, or walking up to the stage, then you will not be called. Let me make it clear, that is the position for the whole of this week. Can I see all those who wish to speak? We are going to carry us on well after lunch today, but I'm hoping to get a few speakers in the first instance. Can I ask all those who want to speak? Bring the delegate there, yeah? Yeah. You want to come down? Anybody else want to speak? Take the delegate in the far left there, yes, with the white, yeah. If you want to come down. I'll take the delegate up the back and the left, holding up a paper. Yeah, that one that just went down. If you can both come down to the front, please. We will be taking others later. It's okay. You can put your hand down just now. I will be taking others. Yeah.
Hello, conference, comrades and friends. I'm Laura Daly from Sedgefield constituency. First-time delegate, first-time speaker. Thank you. I'm the Women's Officer for Sedgefield and very proud to be. Every year, I hope that I've made a difference, engaged with more people, done enough good work to be elected again, and I'm very happy to do so. Working in the Labour Party at whatever level, be it local campaigner, CLP officer or MP, should not be a career choice, but a calling to public service. We should have the interests of the public at the very core. In the current climate, under the rule of a disastrous and harmful Tory government, a general election could and probably should be imminent. But with that, the timescales for trigger ballots can't be met. The rule change on Westminster selection doesn't go far enough, and in fact helps only to remove democracy and silences the voice of the people. Their wishes should be paramount. I believe they should have a say in who represents them at every single election. And so I would urge you to reject the rule change on this so that we can have a full, fair and open debate on Tuesday. Thank you.
The delegate, yeah. Next delegate, please. Yeah, the woman, yeah.
Conference Chair, my name is Omolola Oyewusi. I'm from Chatham and Aylesford CLP. I'm here to support the rule change on the BAME representation. It's long overdue, and we need more participation, more inclusiveness. We talk about diversity, equality, and inclusion. We know that we started a good thing, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And that work starts with this new rule change. And I would like to, ask you to please to support it, because in some areas, especially where I come from, there is less representation of BAME. And I've been talking and speaking constantly about it. I want to thank those who are in my CLP, who are also helping and supporting to increase the BAME representation in our region. But we have a long way to go. But that long journey starts from today by you supporting the rule change. Please support. Thank you.
Good. The next delegate, please. The woman. Yeah. Can I have another indication of who wants to speak? Delegate in the middle, yeah. Delegate there.
To speak about membership fees, which comes under the individual members' rights rule change. I don't know whether people are aware, but there's no mention in this proposal about how much money goes back to the local parties. Currently, the amount is £2.50 per member, which sounds reasonable, but it is per year. And under this amount, for example, in the last general election, the printing costs of the free post leaflet drop, which we would like to use, was more than in our total party funds, despite vociferous fundraising. Tewkesbury is a geographically scattered constituency with a long-standing Tory MP, and we have a number of Labour members who are very enthusiastic. We have the same costs, however, of large constituencies for administration and campaigning materials. So I would like consideration to be given not only to the actual membership fees, but to the proportion which is returned to the local parties. It should be much more than it currently is, and we would actually like if it was 50%, 50%, but certainly more than currently. So I urge you to support the change to this, and especially for small constituencies like ours, but also support from large constituencies, vote against this motion so that something further can be done. I hope you'll support this in solidarity. Thank you.
Next delegate, yep.
Comrades, Clayton and Fairweather Green branch, Bradford West CLP. First time delegate, first time speaker. Thank you. Comrades, nearly 60 years ago, someone I worked with in the construction industry said that if they had their way, socialists like me would be put up against the wall and shot because he said, "I believe in democracy." Well, my understanding in democracy is different from his. My understanding is that everyone should have a say. And when it comes to choosing who stands for Parliament in our name, it means that all members should have a say in who represents them. There have been far too many instances in the past when people deemed the right kind of candidate have been shoehorned in or parachuted in to represent places they have no history, irrespective of local people. In the same way, too, many sitting MPs who have lost the respect and confidence of local parties cling on to their positions in Parliament with scant regard for the people who work their socks off to put them there. Hundreds of thousands of us members demand that things are done differently. All members, all MPs, should welcome being considered for selection by members who do the work, knock on the doors, stuff the envelopes, leaflet street after street, rather than just assume they have some God-given right to be selected unopposed purely because they're sitting MPs, expecting it to be a job for life. Having been an MP for 10, 20, 30 years should give them no right to expect an easy ride, just as an MP who has lost their seat in one town should not expect to be parachuted into another, perhaps easier seat by the party machine over the heads of local party members. This procedure should not be seen as deselection. It should not be seen as reselection, but by the simple word selection. Members of the party may very well wish to select their sitting MP to stand again, or they may not. And I put it to conference that if that person has earned the respect of the members for the work they've done, they will doubtless have done the same for their constituents and will have nothing to fear. However, if they have not, they should expect someone else to challenge them for selection. That is my definition of real democracy. It is respect for real democracy that will ensure a Labour government is elected, and the same respect will keep it in power. Thank you.
Yeah, next delegate. Yeah.
Conference, Brendan Sweeney, Barrow and Furness CLP. If I say the words John Woodcock, you'll know where I'm coming from. We have far too much experience, far more than anybody would want to have, about having an unsatisfactory Member of Parliament. I've looked at what is in the papers on the Westminster democracy. I'm disappointed that we haven't had more chance to discuss it and to review it and get feed from our own parties. But what I would say on this, on the practicalities of it, these changes would not have helped us with the problems that we've had with John Woodcock. They're ineffective. They're not tackling the problems of MPs who are underperforming. We have a complete absence of any appraisal procedure for members of Parliament, even a self-appraisal procedure. No other occupation, if they turned up in Parliament and said, "Oh, we don't think our profession needs one," they would be laughed out of Westminster. We have a complete lack of that. But looking at these proposals, it's not clear to me how the affiliates will get a democratic decision on what they should do. I think there's a danger that some of the affiliates who, my understanding is, I remain to be corrected on this, is some of the unions did not actively they sought to actually not have an opinion on the trigger ballots. I just cannot see, looking at our hard case, and in that sense an easy case to solve, that this would take us any further forward. I therefore regrettably have, I'm fully in support of the idea that members should have a strong say in selecting who their MPs are. I feel that this takes it away from members of the CLPs because of the affiliate situation. I think I am the only member of the Socialist Health Association in my CLP, but if I affiliated the Socialist Health Association, does that give me a vote as big a vote as one of my branches with 350 members? That's a nonsense. So, regrettably, I'm having to stand here and ask you to vote against the Westminster one and to ask for it to be remitted back. It'll have to come to next year's conference with a better practical one which sets out when you do the trigger ballot, how you avoid it, giving hostages to your opposition to say even half their own party don't support them. There's a whole set of practical issues on this, and please reject it. Thank you.
This will be the last speaker before lunch, but bring a comrade in. No pressure.
Conference, Jodie Atkinson from Bristol West CLP. I'd like to firstly thank the NEC for putting forward a parliamentary selection rule change that so closely follows the rule change suggested by Bristol West. When Bristol West put forward that rule change a little over a year ago, it was said to be controversial. Conference, it never should have been controversial that a person should not be able to stand as a Labour candidate for parliamentary election unless they have the support of the majority of Labour members in that constituency. I'm sure I speak for everyone in this hall when I say that the next general election cannot come soon enough. However, that means it's not going to come on a schedule. And one thing, a message I'd like this conference to put to the NEC very clearly is that if we do have a snap general election in the next year or so, the rule changes that we're putting into place for the selection of parliamentary candidates must be followed. We cannot have another general election where members are not allowed to select their parliamentary candidates. I'd like to raise a point of clarification because there appears to be a conflict between two of the proposals being put forward by the NEC. Under individual members' rights, which is at page 29, the NEC puts forward the very sensible change that members only need 12 months continuous membership to run for election to NEC, CAC, NCC and other relevant national internal elections. However, when we go to the reforms on the National Constitutional Committee at page 47, the new wording proposed still says the NEC shall consist of 25 members of the party, each of whom has been a member of the party for a continuous period of not less than 5 years immediately prior to the election. So, on the one hand, the NEC is saying it should be 1 year, but then I think because of an error, due to the fact that this has been done overnight, it still says 5 years on page 47. This is immediately relevant because we are going to be electing these new 14 new members of the NCC very soon, and I would submit that conference that members who have been a member for more than a year should be able to stand for these new positions. The reason we need 25 people on the NCC is because the party has grown so much in the last 3 years, and it's not correct that people who have joined recently shouldn't be able to stand. Thank you, conference.
Thank you. And just for clarity, what is printed is correct. There's no mistake in the print. It is correct. And that's what you'll be voting on. Conference, it will now come to lunchtime. I'm going to adjourn for lunch. We are going to continue this debate after lunch at 2:15. We'll try to get in as many speakers as possible into the debate. So the policy seminars are on. Lunch is now your lunchtime. So thank you, Conference, for your cooperation this morning. See you all at 2:15 prompt. Thank you very much.